Hey there. Welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of GSPN and the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by the looks even better in person, Rohan Katti. Rohan, after our fantastic GSPN weekend, how's it going, sir?
Good, as Jordan's calling it GSPN Spring Break,
Yeah,
hashtag GSPN Spring Break, which I think is very
love
fun.
Jordan trying to make a hashtag. Follow Jordan on Instagram. I think it's at Jordan Chesky. I'm not sure.
Think so, but he's also doing it on Twitter, I think, too.
Oh, is he? I saw it
Yeah.
on IG first. So follow Jordan everywhere.
Oh yeah,
At
always follow
Jordan
Jordan.
Tresky on Twitter for sure.
Yeah. It's been a good time. We've taken into a Brewers game in Chicago. We went to Bucks Sixers. We have some more
Yeah.
stuff happening. It's been a good time having Adam and Andrew here in Milwaukee and just the Midwest in general together. It's just been a great time. But yeah, all of us watched Bucks Sixers last night. We're recording this on Monday morning. It was an incredible game after the Bucks got absolutely punched in the mouth by the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I don't know if punched is even
I
like
think it was
applicable.
like in Dragon Ball Z when someone gets hit and they fly through like 80 rocks. That's what happened to the Bucks against the Celtics.
Yeah. But it was a very, very good response, and the Bucks look to be back on track, as we will get into. But before we get into that, Ty,
Yeah.
what's happening on Tuesday?
Um I'm going to vote.
Yes.
Go vote on
Yes, you are.
Tuesday. That's not the only thing.
Unless you've early voted.
Unless you've early voted. If you don't get extra credit, but it's good to vote. Either way, it's good. Bucks watch party. Bucks and Brewers watch party with GSPN at Pilot Project. Starting, I think 6 p.m. Bucks start early because they are in
In Washington.
Washington. My favorite. Washington, don't let me down. It looks like they're already not playing any of their primary players, by the way. I think they kind of realize what's going on there in Washington. But yeah, Pilot Project, 6 p.m. Bucks start. 6:20, I think the Brewers take on the Mets. So we'll have two games on. We'll be checking out another big game, Celtics Sixers, which we'll get into standings watch updated later in the pod, but that's going to be big as well. Also, election results. So, well, a lot going on that night. I don't think we'll do a watch party specifically for that, but hoping good news on all fronts with 4 different things to track. It's going to be a great time. Come hang out with GSPN and other great listeners. Really looking forward to that. Shout out Dylan, right?
Yeah, shout
Dylan,
out
we met at
Dylan.
the game
Yeah.
last night. I don't want to hear about Big Time Ty ever again because Dylan, we're all walking together, points out Big Time Jordan Tresky first, and then Adam. I was actually the last, I think, to be recognized by Dylan, but great fan, great interaction. So shout out to him. Dylan, I hope you're coming to Pilot for this watch party. But Rohan, should we talk about the game?
Let's talk
I
about
can't
this
wait
game,
anymore. I know we have so many great things to promote. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm disappearing in a wash of sunlight for some reason. I'm still here. I'm not getting smoked out, although it looks like that. It's pretty
Ty.
crazy.
It's like that one episode where I just progressively got dark.
Yeah, except the opposite. I clearly need to get better shades in here, I think is what I'm learning. But the pod goes on. Dude, the Bucks routed the Sixers. That game was awesome. Here's my first take on it. And I'm starting with this because I didn't put it in my notes. I don't want to forget. I actually think it's better that Philly mounted a comeback in the third quarter and trimmed the lead to single digits, and then the Bucks blew it up again because the start of the game was just so good, you knew it wasn't going to last. I mean, the Bucks made, I think, all but one shot in the whole first quarter. They were just
They shot
electric.
basically 70%. They had like a
Okay, it fell off
77%
at the
true
end.
shooting.
They started
Uh,
like 10 for 11 or something. Like literally everything. I think the one miss got offensive rebounded in. It was ridiculous, but clearly it wasn't going to last. So, it was great. That was certainly the start we needed to see after Thursday against Boston. But the fact that that goes away, Philly gets back into it, and the Bucks are just like, no, we're not done. Like, that's the kind of ebb and flow you need to get through to win playoff games. So I felt like we talked about before this game, just in Discord and just in our conversations, the Bucks need for the 1 seed for standings and for vibes to prove it because they hadn't had that many wins against great teams. this was everything that I was looking for from just proving, oh yeah, don't worry, we got it. And I'd been saying, we've seen this core win a title. Like, there's no reason to think that they can't beat good teams, but you do just like to see it. This was outside of Grayson Allen's injury, which we'll talk about later in the show, really, I think almost a perfect night for Milwaukee, beating down a projected MVP. Really, I mean, Embiid didn't really look like an MVP defensively. We'll get into that too. But what were your thoughts on how this game flowed, Rohan?
I really agree with your take that it was nice to see the Bucks come back because, like you mentioned, they shot the lights out in the first quarter, 16 of 23, 69.6% from the field, including 5 of 6 from 3 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It felt like the Bucks had as many points at halftime for this game. From the Celtics game that they did in the first quarter, and it's true.
Yeah.
They had 41 points in the first quarter, which is like, oh yeah, that was around the halftime score for the Celtics game.
That's crazy.
It was very, very good to see. It was great to see this team respond because obviously they had their comments after the game about yeah, we didn't play as best as we thought. And it's like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Thanks.
You lost by 41 points.
Yeah. We know.
And it's good to see that they actually took it to heart and they came out here and they wanted to send a message. And they always play well against Philly, but this is the biggest blowout I can remember in recent Bucks Sixers history. It feels like it's usually close.
Yeah, and it was nice too that it was a true. I mean, Philly wasn't on a rest disadvantage either, right? I don't think they played the night before. So it was a true matchup. The only player out, it was the two ways, and then Jaden Springer, who was on G League assignment for Philly. So they had their whole team. I mean, if your only statuses are two-way guys and G League assignments, that's literally your whole team. Like, you could choose to have that player if you wanted. The Bucks were without Myers Leonard, which some people think that would matter in this. Like, some people think Leonard would potentially log minutes on Embiid. I don't. I think it'll be Giannis or Bobby if it's not Brook. But he was out. And then, of course, Grayson leaves the game. This unfortunate injury, I do think getting more Javon in there was good. And I think Javon is going to be an important matchup in this series for one specific player. But yeah, I mean, I think the Bucks it was clear they knew they needed it, right? Like, they knew this was the last chance to beat a contender. They knew they needed a bounce back after Thursday. And Philly just couldn't really do anything about it. I mean, it was kind of crazy to watch this team that is, supposed to be a contender. Harden's probably going to make all NBA. They had nothing outside of Embiid and Maxey. And not even together. Like, their team felt so disjointed. Like, either Maxey was doing his thing and he was tremendous. And I think Carter should have played more. What did Javon actually log for minutes in this game? 20, 21. I think that should have been higher. I think not totally matched, but I think he should play a lot of Maxey's minutes because everybody else on the team outside of pretty much Drew was struggling to guard him. And, Maxey ran all over, hit a lot of step backs, hit a lot of tough shots, but got to the rim too. And then Embiid is just a sniper. I mean, he's automatic. If Brook is... Sometimes he was too far away. Sometimes he wasn't. It just didn't matter. And Embiid is just hitting all these jumpers. That's all they had, though. There was no other offense for Philly at all. James Harden didn't want to shoot. We were talking about this at the game. Like twice in a row, basically, on offense. He would get separation on a screen and then just pass to PJ Tucker. And PJ is trying to dribble and get around Giannis. It's this is not good for you, Philly. This is bad. That's not sustainable at all. Very weird. I don't know what's going on with Harden in this injury, or if he's just, now that it's April, it's a playoff month. This is just what happens. I'm not sure.
But, trying to go back to Houston.
Yeah, he's ready. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about H-Town. His jersey up in the rafters. What'd you say?
Either him or Freddie Van Vliet.
Oh yeah,
Nick Nurse.
We watched Brewers today, and yesterday. I was like, Freddie Peralta. Why is Freddie Peralta going to the Astros?
Yeah, he's going to the Astros.
He's going to the Rockets. I'd rather him go to the Rockets than the Astros.
What if you get Altuve in return?
I mean, yeah, I would do that. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, what are your thoughts on what I like? Philly just kind of being out of sync.
it was really interesting to see because it's like they went to their bread and butter right as the game started. You're just spamming Embiid, Harden, pick and rolls like
Yeah.
just the entire game, and it's like, oh, this isn't like a death lineup thing. This isn't like a okay, we need some points here. This is just your entire offense, and I guess that makes sense when you have two guys who are just like supposed to be superstars, and Embiid definitely is one. Harden not so much at this stage in his career. Um, it was just it was a little bit jarring to see, but it was a Doc Rivers coach team. We have to remember that as Doc Rivers' jersey was hanging in the rafters at Fiserv Forum. It was
We should hang his Sixers coach jersey too, based on what we saw. He
Jordan
deserves
made a
that.
great he made a great joke about how number 31 is up there for all the 3-1 leads he's
Oh man, poor
all the
Doc.
3-1 leads he's blown in his coaching career. But it was just a little weird to see. Like, this is why I've never really been worried about Philly in terms of them against the Bucks in the postseason. The only thing that scares me is Joel Embiid, but as a team, the Sixers, they just don't really have it. The entire reason they're where they are right now is because of Joel Embiid, and outside of him, it's not scary at all. Like, at least Boston, it's like you have Jason Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown,
Yeah.
you have those two guys, and you also have a great team around them. With the Sixers, they got nothing. Like, what are you getting out of Tobias Harris in this matchup? You're getting 6 points from a guy who's making more money than Chris Middleton.
Yeah. They just feel like they never figured out how to. He's clearly better than that. I feel like they just have no idea how to use him. Plus, this is a problem with Embiid and Harden being so heavy. Well, usually so heavy usage. Do you know how many times Harden shot in this game?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
9. And that's not like sometimes, okay, yeah, oh, because he had a bunch of free throws. No, he had 2 for 2 on free throws. Like, he just didn't shoot at all. I mean, 9 shots for James Harden. DeAnthony Melton shot 5. Jalen McDaniels shot 4. They made a combined 1. Like Tobias Harris
Daniel
shoots
House
6.
is getting up 7 shots in 9 minutes.
He hit 2 threes after I joked to Adam and Newmark, who I was sitting next to. Ooh, sitting next to Newmark at a sporting event. Oh God, I mean
that dude,
loud.
He's a character.
Loudest for t-shirts. He's huge. He's got Gumby body. The t-shirt's not gonna fit him. I don't know what he's gonna do with it, but it does have a hilarious. Did you see what the slogan is on this shirt?
Yeah, I did.
Tastier than a slam dunk. I said you got to start posting that on all your food pics now. This was tastier than something all basketball fans say when they have a good meal. Tastier than a slam dunk. But yeah, PJ Tucker 2 for 5. Like PJ shoots 1 less time than Tobias and 4 less times than Harden. It's just clearly not sustainable. Embiid was bad from 3, but Maxey was 6 for 7 from 3. Tyrese Maxey had half of the Sixers makes from 3. Like, this core is just weird. And I remember saying this when they got PJ. Like, yeah, he's a good wing defender. Can you really have a guy who doesn't shoot at all next to Embiid? Especially when you have Tobias, who sometimes doesn't shoot at all, and Harden, who apparently sometimes also doesn't shoot at all. Like,
when when you're not like a defensive powerhouse as well. Like, the reason PJ Tucker works and why he was able to win a title in Milwaukee and be so effective when he was with the Rockets and like the Suns and Raptors dating back, like PJ's been around for a while. But the reason he works is if you are a defensive minded team. Like, the Bucks won their title by just absolutely bullying, being physical. Just I forgot to mention Miami was like that as well, where you're just trying to bully guys and just like win your games on defense. That is not the case for Philadelphia. While Joel Embiid can be a great defender, he was not in this game, like you mentioned. This is not a defensive-minded team at all. Like, Tyrese Maxey and James Harden.
So they're good. They're 8th in defensive rating. So they're good, but not elite.
Yeah, and a lot of that just boils down to rim protection.
Yeah, which in this game
was bad.
Yeah. Embiid, no steals, no blocks. And I felt like the Bucks, like Drew was finishing at the rim with Embiid around often. And a lot of them I was like, oh, like that's, I don't know about this one, Drew. But it just like didn't really seem like a problem, especially the Sixers played zone. And the Bucks were beating it over and over by driving and cutting. Like, I thought something that was terrible against Boston, and it was bad when the Sixers made their run in the third quarter. the ball and people movement for Milwaukee was largely good tonight, outside of Philly's comeback when I think the Bucks got a little stiff. Giannis has foul trouble. He had 4 at the time. Plays into this. The Bucks got Embiid into foul trouble as well with 4, and I think the lead really ballooned when Embiid was sitting to start the fourth quarter. And again, outside of Maxey, there was just no one else doing anything. Where do you want to go, Rohan? What's on your mind next from this game?
Just the versatility difference in versatility that we see when we look at the Bucks compared to the Sixers is very, very jarring. And even though I've said in the past that I think Philly is in that tier with Boston and Milwaukee in terms of being able to win the East, I'm a little less confident in that because of just seeing how and this isn't abnormal for the Sixers team, is just you're relying on Embiid and Maxey and sometimes Harden to just go off to win you games. And the thing is, they have been, so they've been winning games, but you can't rely on that really when it comes to playoff time, when it comes to crunch time. It just doesn't really work that well, and we saw that at full effect in Milwaukee.
Yeah, let's talk about Giannis. Let's not take too long because he did look like an MVP. He got MVP chance. He doesn't like it at the free throw line. He missed the free throw, but the MVP chance were well deserved. 33 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Again, against an MVP.
Sub 32 minutes also.
Sub 32 minutes. Against an MVP known as a two-way force and a rim protector. Giannis was 13 for 16 from 2. Missed 3 total shots in the line all night. Dominated the 76ers. Absolutely dominated. Was hitting the mid-rangers. Was getting to the rim. Had some ferocious dunks. Was that Jalen McDaniels who he postered?
Yep.
Remember when everyone on the Sixers bench except Niang at some point, people were like, oh my God, the Sixers got Daniel House. The Sixers got DeAnthony Melton. The Sixers got Jalen McDaniels. The Sixers got, no one ever does it with the Bucks. The Bucks get Jay Crowder. He's probably washed. The Bucks get Joe Ingles. Even you say, oh, that's a terrible move. The Sixers get anyone, literally any player. Oh my, Daniel House. They got Daniel House on the vet minimum. He barely plays. He had a good game, but it's just ridiculous.
B-ball Paul? What a steal.
They've unlocked B-ball Paul. It's over. League done. Okay, whatever. Just ridiculous thing. But Giannis, oh my God, plus 21, game high, 33 points for Giannis in 31 minutes. He's not going to do more points than minutes, but it could be close. Just was much better than Embiid on both ends. And I think both individually and as part of a team. I mean, I think Giannis was really playing team ball. I mean, Embiid has 5 assists as well, but their offense was just so stagnant. And I think Giannis did a good job of both dominating and also getting teammates involved, working the ball more. He wasn't totally ball dominant, and I thought that was big in the win as well. But he certainly looked like the most valuable player in this game. That is for sure.
Is without question, he was the MVP of that game, and he's probably the MVP of the league. He's just not going to win the award. As we talked about last episode.
Kevin O'Connor's voting for him.
Yeah, I think we got Windy in the straw poll as well.
Okay, we're moving on up.
Yeah, I think Windy had Jokic third.
I feel like Jokic has a better case than Embiid, to be honest.
I think so too.
I mean, 2 of these guys have their teams at the top of the conference. 2 of them, only one of them probably is going to have a second All-NBA player, and it's Philly, as wrong as that is. I'll take Drew personally, but I'll take Brooke personally, but
Brooke's not going to make it.
I'll take Javon personally, but
I'll take Thanasis. Also, Thanasis being suspended for this game cannot
totally robbed us of a fun moment late in the game for sure.
God. I think part of the reason they came out and stomped is before Thanasis.
I could see that, yeah.
Got to do it. He stuck up for them. They have to stick up for him.
Yeah.
I think also we didn't talk about the suspension. One of the funniest tweets I saw, I wish I remembered who said it, is everyone wants to clown Thanasis for being in the game while Blake Griffin is also in the game at the same time as Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Yeah. It's just yeah.
That's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Old Balake.
Man, I hope that comedy career is going to take off soon. Because the basketball side, I think, is done. But Giannis was incredible in this game. And I like the way that you put it. He didn't seem entirely ball dominant, which is one thing that we saw as a problem the last time these two teams faced off. Is you see the Bucks blow a big lead because Giannis wants to go out there and play hero ball for the entirety of the second half. That did not happen this time. Giannis played within the team. He was getting his own. He was doing his own thing, but he was more divisive. I felt like he was more calculated, and he was letting other guys set him up as well. And it just like you see guys like Chris Middleton having 9 assists. Chris had a great game as a ball handler and as an assist man a lot of times to Brook Lopez, but we'll get into that. You have guys like Javon Carter getting 6 assists. You have everyone else getting involved, and Giannis being a finisher for a lot of plays while also being able to initiate and create for others and himself. It is a perfect combination for this team going forward, and why I think this team is primed for a massive, massive playoff run.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was really a game that, as well as Giannis dominating and looking, oh my, the dunk, that when Drew fed him the ball, the dunk there, the dunk on McDaniels, like he had some all-time moments, some beautiful finishes too.
That Drew steal, by the way, was absolutely incredible. Because he's just like, yeah, James Harden's going to be lazy through a behind the back pass to Embiid. Yeah, let me just go take this.
He just like grabbed it out of his hands. Harden's just like, oh, that sucks. Like he's just like, oh, I'm not really going to run.
There was a fun camera angle that the Bucks got from one of their sideline nice cameras.
Yeah.
Where it's just like after Drew steals the ball, you just see Embiid just look so exasperated. Like he's like, maybe this guy should go to Houston.
I was laughing at Harden at one point. I think it was Giannis. It was like going to drive on him, and Embiid wasn't back in the paint yet. And Harden just like sticks out his shoulder into Giannis' chest. It's like, we're not doing this without Joel back there. Like, no. I just don't feel like playing any defense right now. Renowned post defender, James Harden, by the way. Let's talk about the big guys offensively, though. Brook was 9 for 13 from the field. Bobby 8 of 11 from the field. They shot a combined 3 for 5 from deep. So the big fellas were lighting it up from all over the place. Really great games for both of them offensively. I thought Brook's defense on Embiid was good, but not great. And by that, I mean the best part was they didn't let him get to the line, which that's what you have to do against Philly. The Sixers shoot a combined 13 free throws. Embiid 5, Maxey 5, Harden 2, Shake Milton 0 for 1. I don't remember what that was. I think it might have been an and one late in the game. But it was a good effort of not letting them get to the line, which that's where Philly's the most dangerous, to be quite honest with you, is at the free throw line. But I thought
James Harden highlights him at the free throw line.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought Brook probably gave Embiid too much space too often. And I know it's difficult with, you don't want him to get around you, don't want him to get to the foul line. But they, like, especially in the first half, I think, way too many open jumpers. And they were really shading toward Harden and other guys. But I just thought it was probably overhelping, given at that point in the game, nobody except Embiid was really hurting Milwaukee. And if he has an open mid-ranger, he's just going to make it. Like, he's just become so elite at those face-up jumpers. So I thought Brook's game defensively was good, but not great. But offensively, he definitely made up for it and more. Same with Bobby. I mean, those two were just knocking down shots, beating the zone, beating
Bobby
defense.
Specifically was just he was a zone buster.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
He was just like finding open space, hitting little runners, floaters, push shots, and just absolutely decimating the zone. Getting back to Brook Lopez, though, I will say, I thought Brook played Embiid as well as you really can. Like, if you want him to close out more on the jumpers, Embiid's just going to get past him. He's quicker than him. Like, and then you're going to get into foul trouble.
Well, I just thought he helped off too far generally anyway. But
that's fair. That's fair. But it's like I'd rather see Brook drop and protect the rim more and not foul than, like, I will concede open jumpers to Joel Embiid. That's fine. Like, I know he's making them at a clip this year, but you see when it's just jumpers, like you see in this game, he's not as effective.
2019 Raptors Kawhi theory: let him shoot, don't let other guys get going. I know.
It's because, I mean, we saw it in full effect. He's making all the mid-rangers you can really ask for, and it's not enough. And you're not letting him get other guys involved as well. Even though he's not the best passer, he's still capable of creating. And you just see, like, if he's just getting a steady diet of mid-rangers, it's not the best for the team. So I'm fine with the way Brook played him.
What about threes? He shot 7, but he only made 1.
That's par for the course.
I thought he's a pretty good shooter this year, no?
Hey, it might be, but just in general, I'm gonna let Joel take as many threes as he
You
wants.
sound like people talking about playing Giannis now.
And
That's a good shot.
again,
They're actually 33% this year, down from 37 the last 2 years.
it's fine. It's like if you can do it in the if you can do it in the playoffs, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but we haven't really seen that.
Yeah. Well, I think the nice thing here is there's almost always, if not always, going to be somebody in the game that, like, if you, I think you can have Brook leave the paint a little bit more in this matchup because you have Giannis backline and like they're not afraid of PJ at all. They let PJ shoot. He was 1 for 3 from deep. He was 1 for 2 from the field. He had a wide open. Giannis helped off too much. I think it was on Embiid too, and I never like when they double someone that Brook is guarding. I just don't think it ever helps that much. Like, Brook is going to do a good enough job contesting anyway that unless the double's perfect, you're making the defense worse by giving up somebody open. And that possession, that is what happened. But like if PJ is at the three, I mean, they're going to let him shoot. And most of the time it's justified. And he just stopped taking them. He made his one shot. He talked so much trash to the Bucks bench. It was the last shot he made in the game. And it was in like the second quarter. And it's like, not even trying to be disrespectful to PJ, but I'm familiar with your game, sir. He made his three
of what you did.
He made his three, and I literally said out loud, okay, there's his 1-3. He's not going to make another three. Look at the box score. And again, this isn't a narrative. I watched the guy play half a season and a whole playoff run. I know how this goes. If he makes 2 threes, it's an outlier game. That's a problem when you're built around a post-up big man. And I know Embiid faces up now, but just a problem. So I just think there's a lot of ways they can guard this team. But yeah, I think certainly not trying to say Brook didn't do a good job. I mean, anytime you keep Embiid to 11 for 25 shooting, including 10 of 18 from 2 and only 5 free throws, that's going to be a win. And 28 points for Joel Embiid, you can live with that every time, especially when it's 28 points on 25 shot attempts. Clearly not that good of an offensive output, especially when Milwaukee was scoring the way they were scoring on the other end.
Yeah, and just for further clarification, Joel Embiid's career playoff 3-point shooting percentage, 27.6, 30.8,
Ooh.
25, 39, 21.2.
Ooh.
So
is that like 10 total games? I feel like he doesn't play that many playoff games.
I mean, 8, 11, 4, 11, 10.
11 twice? Okay, so he's logging them in.
He's been to the second round.
Wow, it's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. Philly should try getting to the conference finals because it's like maybe do that once.
Why do their fans talk about like Joker being not playoff proven? By the way,
yeah, Jokic has been to the conference finals.
He's played good in a lot of rounds too. That's the funny thing. This whole thing, I've seen all the narratives on every side. And maybe it's just because the advanced stats and all that stuff. I think it's just been quieted. I think everyone's kind of just getting sick of it. I will say I find the Joker arguments more compelling than the Embiid arguments this season.
I do for sure. I think Jokic has a way better case than Embiid.
I agree. Winning is good, and maybe playoffs, regular season. I don't know. Maybe just try to do that more. What else stood out to you from this game, Rohan?
Bucks are good, Ty. Bucks are good, but also the rotation.
Yes, the playoff rotation. Real quick. Actually, no, we can talk about it with the rotation. Let's just get into it. Were you surprised we saw a 9-man and not a 10-man rotation in this game? Even with Grayson going down in, what was that, like the third quarter, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Even after that, I mean, we didn't see our 10th man check in until less than 2 minutes to go when a weird garbage time quartet of Goran Dragic, Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton, and Marjon Beauchamp got in the game. But before that, Drew, Grayson, Chris, Giannis, Brook, the regular starters. And I'm really interested to see who starts against Washington. Or is it Chicago first? No, Washington first.
No, Washington.
Right? Washington first. And then Ingles, I think, was first off the bench, but Bobby ends up playing a lot more minutes. And then Jay Crowder and Javon. And, of course, Bobby, who I mentioned. So 9 instead of last time we saw 10 was with West logging more minutes as well. Obviously, less premier wing guys that you need West for. But were you surprised that we only saw 9 after we've talked about, I don't know how you're not going to play 10 because this team is so deep?
It was a little surprising just to see. It was mostly Pat Connaughton, who was just excised from the rotation these past two games.
Yep.
And it's only surprising because of his history, but not
Yeah.
if you take his play into consideration. Because we've been talking ad nauseum now about how we've only been giving Pat Connaughton the benefit of the doubt because of his legacy as a Milwaukee Buck, which is crazy. That's a crazy sentence to say. But just his play this season just been baffling ever since he came back from that. What was it? A calf injury, hamstring injury, something?
I think everything's been a calf. It's contagious.
Yeah, just left calf soreness for days.
Yeah.
But it's been jarring to see. He's just missing shots. He's doing uncharacteristic Pat things. He's doing good things. He's partnering with banks. That's fun.
Okay. I hadn't
I,
even
I
seen
saw
this.
I saw this like thing. It's like great hanging out with this bank, and I was like, "Oh, is it a food bank? No, it's a bank."
Is it a food bank? No, Rohan.
No, that's not to say Pat Connaughton has done a lot of charitable work in
Yeah,
the city of
yeah.
Milwaukee, and that's not to take away from that. He's done a lot of good stuff.
Food banks don't help you build condominiums, Rohan.
But it was just so funny. Just it's like, oh, this is just a bank. Like God, I don't even remember what bank it is, and no free ads.
Yeah, no
But
free ads. Don't tell me.
it's just it's been a little off, and
Yeah.
I think Bud's noticed that.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
obviously, Bud's noticed that, but it's just he's taken it into consideration enough, and we've talked about the Bucks just have a lot of other wing options now,
yeah,
where you can get away with not playing future Rafters guy potentially
yeah,
Pat Connaughton.
yeah. Um,
The ambiguous number 24 is not in your background anymore.
no, well, Kung Fu Kenny, my ring light reflects on it. So I got to figure something out there. I've got another piece of wall decor, OTW. I'm hoping I can debut in the playoffs. So we'll see about
Ooh.
that. But it's been tough for Pat. I think he's going to get a shot, especially with Grayson out now. You would think he would be the one who'd slide in there. He could be one of the 9 here. I don't know how long Grayson will be out. I mean, I would expect we may not see him until playoffs at this point, which is going to be tough for Grayson, I think. Could have 2 years in a row now where he potentially loses his starting job and doesn't get it back because of an injury, which does suck for Grayson. Here's a take, though. I think they go to Crowder starting, and I think we're going to stay there.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to stay there.
I was going to say, I don't know if Pat's getting that nod. I think it's Jay Crowder.
It would be kind of weird if he went from not playing at all to starting. Boss man. Ingles has been getting in the game first, but I feel like I just like him better as like an option to swap in when 1 or 2 of our primaries go out, and like the big 3, right? Like I just think that's Ingles' best role. There's just diminishing returns with 4 ball handlers and making your defense worse. And Ingles, I think, has held up, I'd say, better than we expected on that end overall. I think he's if you expected the worst, he hasn't been the worst defender in the league.
Yeah, but he also hasn't been great.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying better than expected.
I know, but I saw a lot of takes about him being a good defender.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying okay. I don't think he's good. I said before that this game, Sixers, I'm going to be watching Chris and Jay a lot defensively. And somebody said, you should probably watch Ingles too. And I was like, I don't need to. I know he's not moving laterally. He's strong, and he had a nice poke out. Like if you go right at him, he holds up pretty well. If you go around him, it's kind of like the French trench defense in World War II. Like if they had gone at those trenches, they would have been ready, but they didn't, and they weren't. Like it's the same principle. Let's not talk about what that means, this analogy, for how I look at teams playing against the Bucks. Let's just leave that alone. Keep moving.
Yeah, but after the Boston game, I'm just like, yeah, Joe Ingles can never start for this team.
I don't think so. I think that's fine. Like I think let him be the offensive spark from the bench. He does usually a pretty good job. I thought he probably could have handled the ball more in this game. So that's what I'm a little leery about is in the playoffs. This was like they played it like the playoffs. Like Drew, Chris, it's like, especially when Chris is out there, I think they could let Joe handle the ball more, get Chris moving off ball a little more. Because Joe in the corner all the time, it's like, yeah, he's a good shooter, but that's probably not worth it for the defensive impact. Like, let him be on the ball if he's going to be out there, at least sometimes. They didn't use the Joe Brook pick and roll at all. I kind of wonder, is that like, do we just don't want Embiid in the actions as much? But I don't know if Embiid was in the game. Anyway, but I think Crowder makes so much sense. We haven't seen that group much. And I think this could be the perfect time to give us what's really basically just a souped up version of the West at starting lineup from last year, right? Like that's what Crowder is. He looked much better defensively in this game. He was 0 for 5. He and Javon combined to be 0 for 6. I thought both of them had very good games. Like I thought the shooting, I didn't think ruined their game at all. But I think Crowder starting here makes a ton of sense. Wouldn't rule out Javon, and totally open to that too. And I think, shooting wise, that I think he is the closest to what Grayson gives you as a 3-point shooter. But I just think, I don't know, you can figure out the size thing there. I think Crowder makes a lot of sense, and I think they should just lean into it and just go, yeah, good luck scoring on us at any point in any basketball game with this 5 starting.
It's what I've talked about before. This is this team's identity. They're built to be just a bully team, like a bullying team. They're meant to just like be a physical team, a defense first team, and Jay Crowder lets you lean into that even more, like a versatile defensive team. And Jay Crowder that's why you go get a guy like Jay Crowder. Like he was valuable for a reason. Maybe not trade request valuable, but he was a commodity for a reason, because he's a versatile defender who can shoot, do other things off the bounce, off the catch. And you can't have enough guys like that. And Jay Crowder is like the prototypical like guy. He's the mold that other guys try to follow in that regard. So they're fully leaning in. If they start Jay Crowder, they're fully leaning into their best selves as the Milwaukee Bucks.
Also, they're freaking huge.
Oh yeah,
Drew is 6'3", 6'3" or 6'4".
Yeah, something like that.
Crowder is what, 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah,
but big, like big for that. Chris is 6'8", Giannis is 6'11", 7 foot, and Brook is a big 7 foot. Like that's like you want to talk about bully ball. I mean, I just think that's we've talked about how fun of a lineup that is. I love now when they go small, I think they're switching a lot more, which is great. Like I think we've talked about for years now. Like when they switch everything with Bobby, he's honestly fine defensively. Like you don't notice him as much at all. It's when they try to drop him or do really anything else that, he just doesn't move in space that well. But if you can, and they do a good job scram switching. And I will say in this game, I thought that was Crowder's biggest impact, was not just his individual defense. He did have a block and a steal. He's a defensive organizer. Like he's kind of like in football, you have like the linebacker who calls everything out. I think it's like the red dot linebacker. It's not always the best player, but it's the one who like gets everyone in position. Despite being a midseason acquisition who's played like less than 20 games, that's where Crowder's biggest impact, I think a lot of the time, has been. Like he gets guys moving, and I thought one of the best parts about their defense, especially when they did go small, is Crowder and Drew were like basically just saying like, no, I'm going to stay on the primary guy. Like we'll both go, you go back. Like somebody would help off with somebody else, like to make sure there wasn't a wide open shot. But they weren't giving the Sixers switches. And I think that is like such an important thing for the Bucks to work on and refine, because having Drew and Crowder and Javon and these other defenders is great. But if they always give up the switch to Chris, to Ingles, whatever, it lessens the impact. The Bucks were saying like, no, like you're going to have to beat our good defenders or let somebody else shoot. I love that. And I think if they keep doing that, that's the kind of thing that takes that defense even up another notch. And also the fact that they're just playing elite defense without giving up threes this year, like totally changing how they approach that. Some people have talked about it. Like I know Zach Lowe has. Like it's going to be a huge deal. It is a huge deal. It's going to be a huge deal. Like their biggest weakness, they were just like, what if we didn't anymore?
What
and
if we just fix that?
Yeah. What if we didn't give up really anything else at a bigger, more like a problematic rate, and also didn't give up threes? And the answer is you win more games than any other team in the league, even without Chris for most of the season.
What if we just took that old Jason Kidd philosophy of giving up nothing, but actually did it and did it well?
Did it without giving up the paint all the time.
Yeah, did it without actually leaking at all at all places.
Seriously.
Because it's like you can try to give up everything, but if you fail and actually give up everything while trying to give up nothing, you're a bad defense.
By the way,
shout out the Dallas Mavericks
Hey, I'm just watching this team like you guys. Is that the new worst kid quote ever?
Just
I mean, that's got to be up there with anything he said.
You
in
guys could
Milwaukee.
coach this team, I guess, because we're just watching like the same way.
Hey, I'm watching these guys too. It's all their fault. I mean, first I don't know. I don't know if I remember to say this earlier. It's a whole different Bud than what coached the team in the first couple of years. Like this is not like it's so far from the way we saw this team coach. I'm saying the Bucks now versus the Bucks in Bud's first like 2.5 years with Milwaukee. It's entirely like everything is different. Literally everything is different. And I think he deserves a ton of credit for being a 2-time coach of the year and basically realizing he had to switch it up to get the most out of this team. I mean, we're talking about a 9-man rotation with their deepest team ever, switching more, match up more. Like Javon played a little more. He should have played more still. Like I just thought it was a great coaching performance for. He should have gotten an upstock. Maybe we should give him one retroactively because I thought he was terrific in this game. Mm-hmm. But every kid quote just makes me value Bud even more because people hate Bud quotes, but they hate him because like he's neither not giving info or they just don't like what he's saying about coaching. Bud has never, ever, ever, ever blamed the team or anything. Like he said, like we didn't have it tonight, whatever, that's fair. Like he's not throwing guys under the bus. And I just think that's how you get that cohesiveness. It's really important. It's a very important thing. So shout out to everyone but Jason Kidd, but in particular, Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, for sure. He runs a class ship. It's very well put together. Stable. He writes the ship. And just it's night and day from him and the previous regime.
Yeah.
By the way, imagine wasting a like consensus like first team All NBA guy that much.
Like I don't even know what their path is now to getting better. If Kyrie walks, they're cooked. They just have nothing. They have like $20 million in cap space, not a max, no good players outside of Luka. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Christian Wood. I think would probably play the same role with the Bucks now that he did when he was blasting Milwaukee. Wow.
Yeah. They're one game out of the play, and they're
the bad way though.
Behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of the play.
Yeah.
Like they're 11th.
With again, like a consensus first team All NBA MVP candidate. All the way. By the way, he shouldn't be.
He's an MVP candidate in that everyone's going to put him fourth.
But they shouldn't. It's April and his team is in 11th. You're not an MVP candidate. You can't be most valuable if there are 10 teams in the West better. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's fair.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It means good stats.
All right, cool.
His Raptor must be off the charts.
That's just dumb to me. What do we play the game for if not to win? I don't know. I guess
ask Joel. It's not championships apparently.
His quote about I think we talked about it on the pod. His expectations quote was like, "They shouldn't expect anything from me. I haven't done anything." Like, what?
Maybe do something then.
I just like. Do you want to be great or do you want to be judged by your peers in a better light? Like, what? Who cares about any of this?
Yeah, I love how him campaigning to get MVP is gonna like maybe get him not MVP.
I just thought that was like one of the worst quotes I've ever seen from a guy of that stature in the league. Of like. People shouldn't expect. I mean, I don't know. He's probably being tongue in cheek or something, but he's basically said like I should have no expectations to win anywhere because I haven't won MVP before, and I haven't. It's like, yeah, maybe be better. I don't what. I also
have you tried being better? Yeah.
It's just like, why would you not want to win? Like everyone acknowledges you're a great player. You've been second in MVP voting like 5 times, which. You know, it's not a slight against you, Joel. It just means you're not good enough. And I don't know where this is.
And there are other guys better.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole narrative, we need to give Joel one. No, we don't. If he's the most valuable player in a season, he should get one. If he's the second most valuable player 10 years in a row, you know what that should equate? 0 MVPs. This is not a soccer trophy for 4th graders. It's the most valuable fucking player in the league. When did we become this? It's very simple. This all NBA thing. We need to give Jaylen Brown all NBA for the Supermax. I would feel bad if I didn't. The whole point is it should go to deserving players. That's why we do this, media. Don't think about it at all. It's tied to the awards, so the players who earn the awards get the money. It's not tied to the awards to throw a pity party. It's ridiculous.
I think I'm rubbing off on you, Todd.
The people just don't get the point. Give it to the players who earn it. I just think it's very simple. We make these things complicated.
We do. We really do.
I don't feel bad for a player who finishes second in most valuable player in the best basketball league in the world. It's still a good place to be.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good. Like, I don't know. And with the new CBA, you're probably going to make first team All NBA as well.
Yeah. I think that kicks in next year, but
yeah, like next year, not this year, obviously.
Yeah. But I just like some of these conversations just drive me crazy. Like I don't know why we do this with these. Oh, but Joel's a good person. That's fine. Corey Joseph's a good person. Are we giving him MVP?
Hey, yeah. I mean, Corey Joseph, yeah, sure. I mean, AJ Green seems like a good guy. Let's give him MVP.
Yeah, the football one. Who cares? He hasn't gotten MVP in either league. How bad do we feel for him? I don't understand why we look past like, let's pick the 5 most valuable guys. I think it's just easy. And really the one is all that matters. But
it is really easy. Like, you know what? Why don't you just pick the best player in the league? How about that?
Yeah, on the best
Who's
team.
contributing to winning. Has
won more percentage of his games than anybody else. I think that's still true after Boston. It was like 75%. It was a ridiculous amount at one point. Anyway, I think we talked about everyone in the rotation. I think the rotation is good. I agree with you. I'm fascinated. Like, imagine if West plays over Pat now as part of the 9-man going forward.
I don't know if we're going to see that.
At all. Maybe Grizzlies, if they play?
I don't know. I still think Pat would be ahead of West in the rotation.
I'm not saying it should be the other way. I mean, West played over Pat against Boston, and I know that's a matchup thing for wing defense, but it's also just a thing that happened. I mean, it's surprising.
True. That is true. Maybe something's going on. Hope all's good with Pat in case anything's not.
Yeah, but he's still playing though in the game, so I would imagine it's not. Oh, you mean just like his play overall?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Like maybe there's like a nagging injury or something that we're not like privy to.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
I want to give our guys the benefit of the doubt.
I do too. I'm not. I think he should get a chance.
No, Ty, I'm accusing
games.
you of being absolutely just a dickhead. Yeah,
I'm number one anti-Pat.
You're anti-player. You're anti-everyone. You're anti-participation trophy.
It's the best league in the world. Can we just
going full Newmark here? I see.
Listen, you know what? Let's give out 10 of them. Let's do baseball.
MVPs?
Yeah, let's give out 1 per division. Congrats, Joel.
Do they really do that in baseball?
They do 1 per league. There's 2 of every award. It's very stupid. I think it's dumb.
Well, I knew that. Yeah, that is true.
That's dumb. You're the most valuable player of half the teams. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. They should get rid of that now that actually both leagues follow the same rule set.
They should have gotten rid of it a long time ago.
Yeah, but at least like you could justify it a little and say they had different rules.
Yeah.
Now they don't.
They also play each other a lot more. They used to play each other like 2 games a year or whatever would be against the AL. It's very, very baseball's weird.
Baseball is weird. But the pitch clock, pitch clock is incredible. Like we went to Cubs Brewers on Saturday. It was so quick. Like you look up, it's been like an hour, 15 minutes. Oh, we're in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
It was very, very cold in that game, and we were in Wrigley.
Yeah.
So outdoor. Thankfully, they gave blankets, but it was very cold. So the pitch clock saved our butts there.
Yeah.
But the pitch clock is fantastic. Shout out to baseball for doing that.
It is. Could not agree more. People who are anti-pitch clock must have been like, no, I don't want electricity. I have my gas lantern. Like,
yeah, it's tungsten arm O'Doyle.
Tungsten arm O'Doyle was against the pitch clock, and that's why we don't talk about him much anymore.
Did you see that one story about some guy trying to translate? And he was like, I think it was some country. He was trying to translate some jokes about Shohei Ohtani, and he was like, he asked like one of his like American colleagues, like, who's Tungsten Arm O'Doyle? Like,
that's it. He's like looking through Baseball Reference, like I don't see any O'Doyles, I don't see any tungsten arms.
So this guy had to explain the joke to him, but it was just fantastic. I love how Tungsten Arm O'Doyle has just permeated baseball culture.
Shohei's a ridiculous player, by the way.
Yeah.
Should we talk about
I love
standings?
yeah, but the last baseball thing, you know that meme of the Bugatti just sitting in that bad home?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Angel, like people were talking about the Angels, but they photoshopped another Bugatti in there. So it's like two Bugattis.
That's a good meme. I hadn't seen that. Oh, the
Uh,
Angels. Are they literally the Mavericks? Except one of the Bugattis
I think they're
like an
worse.
Audi. Like an Audi. Yeah. Well, baseball's different though. You don't need 3 good players. You need like 30 good players. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Not 30,
that's true.
but a lot more.
Should we talk seeding?
Yeah, let's talk seeding. So the Bucks are 2 games up from Boston. Also, the win also, I believe, clinched that Philly cannot be the 1 seed anymore. So
Correct.
knock them out of this whole discussion that was technically in play, but as we talked about in the last pod, would have been very difficult for Philly to pass. That is now over. The Bucks up 2 in the loss column on Boston, but Boston has the tiebreaker. So the magic number is 3 for Milwaukee, with both teams having 4 games left to go, which means it's still in Milwaukee's hands. And honestly, Boston could help them out more. I mean, the Bucks could go 0-4 and technically still be the 1 seed. That's unlikely, but not impossible with both teams. I think they play all on the same days after this, by the way. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday is the schedule for the 4 games for both Milwaukee and Boston. So the Bucks now, also the Cavs won again. So I believe Philly could still drop to 4, but it's pretty unlikely. It's pretty unlikely. 2.5 games between them and Cleveland after the Cavs came back against Indiana on Sunday as well. What are your thoughts on updated 1 seed now that they beat Philly?
I think it's more likely now. Like you mentioned, the Bucks still are in control of their own destiny. They can still lose 1 game and get the 1 seed. So
even if Boston wins out.
Yes, let's say Boston wins out, they go 4-0. Bucks go 3-1. Bucks go 4-0. Bucks are the 1 seed, and then it's just like you just need to win 1 more game.
Yeah.
So it's like Philly goes 3-1. You need to win
Boston.
Excuse me. Yeah, Boston.
Philly doesn't matter.
Yeah, you need to win 4 games. So, or 3 games. So it's you just need to win 1 more than them, or the same amount as them.
These rules with you need to win as many as them never work with magic number because it's a sliding scale.
I messed that up.
Ignore what I just trouble doing this too. Any combo of 3 Bucks wins and Celtics losses. So
yes,
the Bucks need to win 3, and you can -1 for every time Boston loses. That's what matters. So it could be wrapped up by Wednesday. That's the absolute earliest. By Wednesday, if between those 4 games, 3 of them are either Bucks wins or Celtics losses, the 1 seed is Milwaukee's officially. I would not expect it to be wrapped up by then. But we'll watch, we'll monitor. I'm sure we'll update if Milwaukee's seeding. I mean, obviously by the end of the season, but if before then their seeding
I think it could. Yeah, I think there's a good chance we do see it on Wednesday. Actually,
if Milwaukee wins both and Boston goes 1-1. Yeah,
it's over. Like we're gonna turn into Philly fans on Tuesday, like at our watch party at Pilot Project.
Yeah, I know.
Because if Philly beats Boston, not only does that help Philly stay in the 3 seed. Which, by the way, I'm less worried about. Give me Philly in the second round. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are they making it? Are they beating the Knicks?
Ooh, now we're talking, Ty.
I don't know. I mean, hey.
How funny would it be if they lose in the first round?
Hilarious. On brand.
It would be on brand
for them.
It'd be so funny. Who are they going to blame this time? They can't blame Ben Simmons.
I wonder if they have to be so cowardly that they look at this and they go, well, we would game the basketball gods, but, it looks like Brooklyn might stay 6, and we need to see Brooklyn in the first round because we don't want to see Miami or New York.
And then Mikal Bridges goes off.
That would be, dude. By the way, I love that Brooklyn. They're
a guy they traded.
2 games up on 6. I love that Brooklyn is hanging in there. I think they're going to get pasted, to be clear. But I love that for them. Really fun.
No, but can you imagine Mikal has a revenge game?
Yeah. Oh, his mom works for the Sixers. This is such a nice story. He's gone.
Oh wait, does she really? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he's a Nova guy, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, the
Tough.
1 seed, totally in control. Let's look around the league quick. So the East is pretty much the same as it's been. The top 6 are all the same. Brooklyn hanging in there. Actually, Miami might have been up there. Miami's fallen off a bit because they're not good. It's like literally Jimmy and then Bam and then nothing. Hero scores. Atlanta, Toronto tied at 39 and 39 for the 8-9. A little bit of history at stake here. If Toronto ends up 8 and Miami 7, the Southeast Division could have no playoff teams, which I don't think has ever happened. I mean, they had the division winner had to have a playoff spot until recently. So unless it's happened like the last 5 years, it's probably never happened.
If one division's gonna do it though, it's the Southeast Division.
Absolute buns of a division. Awful. As somebody was making fun of the Central
So
earlier, it's like the Central
bad.
at least has 2 good teams and a play-in team, which is whatever.
Yeah, you have 2 top four teams in the conference.
The Southeast is horrible.
It's so bad. What is it? It's what is it? Miami, Atlanta, Washington, Orlando, Charlotte.
Yeah. So one of the 4
Ridiculously
worst
bad.
teams, and then Washington and Orlando are sub play-in, and then 2 play-in teams. Their best team
So
could be
bad.
500. Miami's already at 41. They probably end up ahead of that, but yeah, does the play-in move you at all? I don't care really.
I think the Bucks are washing any of those teams.
I think Toronto.
You might get a Giannis rest game in there.
Let's not get carried away. Toronto is the most annoying to play, so I would prefer not them. Just because we know defensively, they're just going to gum it up. I'm not worried about it. I would
welcome it. Get the revenge out of the system.
They're not relevant enough to need revenge. The revenge is the fact that they're in the play-in, and the Bucks are first in the East.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it holds up. I mean, but I would take it. I wouldn't be mad. Like I said, I'm not. There's people who are like, oh, the Raptors would give them a real series. It's like, no, they wouldn't. They would not. No team below 4 is even close. I don't care about the Knicks anymore, by the way. The Knicks lost me. They should have never had. I can't believe I fell for the Knicks. The whole nation did.
It's easy when it's the Knicks.
It is.
And you get wall-to-wall coverage.
Yeah, true. Out west, though, one thing I'm watching for the Bucks' perspective, Memphis still 3 games back of Denver, 2 ahead of Sac. Memphis having nothing to play for by that Bucks-Memphis game would be kind of nice. They might need to tune up anyway with all Ja missing time. I don't know when Steven Adams will be back, but it would be like I would not like if they had a chance to move up in that game. But I think Denver's going to keep them at bay, it seems like. And 3 games with 4 to play is kind of curtains anyway. Out west, though, the rest of the standings, I mean, this first round, this play-in is going to be they let the Lakers get half a game back of 5.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. The Lakers could be a problem.
I know. I don't want to feed into the whole Lakers narrative, but it's like this team actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It's wild what happens. I think D'Lo got hurt though, unfortunately.
He's had some weird injury stuff. He's been like out and in the whole time.
Him being a consistent good shooter for them off the catch and creating for himself is very important to them. So that's unfortunate.
He had such a good year doing that in Minnesota, but he was mean to Gobert, so they had to trade him.
Yeah. It was it's fun. Did you see the Timberwolves are the largest upset, I think, in history, because the Timberwolves were 19.5-point favorites over the Blazers and they lost.
People got excited about that team. Like, oh, here come the Timberwolves. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They had to trade for Mike Conley because he's nice to Rudy Gobert. I don't care about that team. Ant's good. I think people are a little too excited about the other McDaniels. A little bit. I think he's a good player.
Jaden's better than Jalen.
Yeah. People are posting, oh, Jordan and Pippen. Like, okay, let's
not go that far.
Can they go 500 first? I don't know. But yeah,
at least they're not posting Giannis Chris memes because that's better, obviously.
That's true. But yeah, the Lakers potentially getting out of the play-in entirely is pretty crazy. I still don't really trust anyone there in the West.
No, I trust zero teams in the Western. I think all teams 1 through 10 could win the West.
I don't disagree.
Like, there's a universe where I could see, yeah, the OKC Thunder are going to the NBA
Okay,
Finals.
maybe I disagree. Maybe I disagree. I don't know about. They're not deep enough. That's their issue. They're not. They need a couple more, like especially a big guy who's actually good. They can't win.
Say that
Shea
about
is good
most
enough.
teams.
I mean, the Lakers are deeper. The Pelicans, when healthy, I don't believe in the Timberwolves either. I'll give you 1 through 8.
Okay, fine.
I'll give you
take
1
that.
through 8. I won't give you 1 through 10.
Who's your finals pick in the West right now?
I'm just gonna keep going Denver because they're
Oh,
consistent and their home
I'm gonna
court
keep
is
going
ridiculous.
Phoenix. I'm
That's
gonna go
fair.
Phoenix.
That's fair. I don't trust Phoenix to. They're so thin. Their health is like really really scary. I don't trust.
KD looked rusty for the first time in forever
I don't
when he
trust
came back.
KD. I mean,
I trust KD.
I don't trust him to stay healthy or CP3.
Yeah.
And they need both of them. They need both of them to stay healthy. Like I know they still have KD and Book if CP3 isn't healthy, but there's just not enough there. I just their team needs to like be built around these guys, and I don't. They're gonna have an interesting summer, but I don't trust them yet. But honestly, I've even come around on Sac, and it's probably more about the rest of the teams. But I'm like, maybe Sac could win the West. I don't know. I wouldn't pick them to clearly, but they're healthy. They're young. They play super hard. They have a good home court. They're the only one that can win on the road. They're the only team in the West with an above 500 record on the road. That might matter.
Yeah, they have a superstar clutch performer.
Yeah,
De'Aaron
he's
Fox.
going to win the Jerry West Award.
The Jerry West Award, which is very funny.
Yeah.
Memphis. We all know you're anti-awards, Ty. So.
Well, I'm fine with this because they're saying, hey, he's the best player in the clutch. Let's give him the clutch award. I think it's a dumb award, but sure, that's how awards should work. I'm fine with this. If they were like, oh well, we're really sad we haven't given Russ any awards in a couple of years, so we're gonna vote. Like, no, I'm fine with it. They say De'Aaron Fox, best clutch player, clutch award, boom, signed, sealed, delivered.
Give Damian Lillard a legacy Jerry West award.
I think Jerry West was at least losing in the finals. Dame is, well, we've all agreed we have to be nice to Dame because he likes Portland. I think it's fine.
No, we have to be nice to Dame because he wants to come to Milwaukee.
That would be a different story then.
Yeah. We're just planting the seeds, Ty.
I'm fine if he stays there. I have no issue, to be clear. I'm not anti-loyal player. But also,
we're very pro-loyal player here.
Yeah, Giannis had a nice loyal quote. People got. I think he was just giving fans something after the Celtics game, but he was like, "I'll be here as long as they want me," which that's great. I hope so.
I hope so too.
But win something, Dan.
Maybe the Jerry West Award.
Someday, yeah, he could be a Jerry West. If they ever, be bold and trade their picks, which they never do. They trade one first at a time. And it's like, yeah, maybe that's not enough. Maybe Robert Covington isn't tipping the scales. Who can say?
I
Jeremy
forgot
Grant.
They traded a first for Robert Covington.
They get one wing per, every 2 years, and it's never enough. And they can never keep him for more than 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is Jeremy Grant gone this offseason?
No, they're going to pay him, I think.
Really? You're going to lock into Jeremy Grant?
Well, I think if you lock in Jeremy and you can trade, Nurkic's salary, Shaden Sharp, and a very good lottery pick because they stink, and get a good player. If you can make Jeremy Grant your third best guy, I think they could be pretty good.
Yeah, but it's just who's going to be the second best guy? Maybe Joel Embiid after this postseason run.
Jaylen Brown. Get him out of Boston. I'm good with it. He clearly wants out. I'm just go west, Jaylen. Go west, please.
Yep, Jaylen, Joel. If you want to go west, that's fine with me.
Head west, please. I miss the East being the baby conference. I need the East to be the baby conference again. I want a Giannis LeBron run here where he can just walk to the finals. We have not had that. I would enjoy that.
I would enjoy that a lot, actually. So, yeah. Portland, gear up. Man, who else wants to gear up? Sacramento, you want to gear up?
Dallas needs a guy.
Yeah, Dallas. Get some guys. OKC can cash in some of their chips.
Memphis has a lot of picks. Memphis, go get Jaylen Brown. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then, oh my God, can you imagine OKC Embiid? A front court of Chet and Embiid?
That'd be ridiculous. I mean, I think Chet's coming off the bench for that team, but...
You do?
Oh, I got to see him play. I don't know.
I think Chet, a fully realized Chet.
Oh,
I think a 4 or 5 combo of him and Embiid.
Yeah.
Was Shea at running point? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, J-Dub.
Yeah, you got
Joe
J-Dub.
sniping. Lou Dort locking down. They got a fun team.
They do. They could win the West.
No. I'm throwing cold water on that.
the two of the guys I just mentioned are not like active members of the Thunder. One of them's in Philly. One of them's in
if they had prime Joel Embiid right now, then yes, I would agree with you. They do not. They have JRE and Paku and these other guys who probably should not be logging minutes. The other Jalen Williams, who's also a big guy there and also not very good. He's okay.
Yeah, he's fine. He's just not as good as
he's a
other
rookie,
Jalen Williams.
But yeah. Okay.
Do we have anything else, Ty?
I don't think so. Come to the watch party.
Yes, Tuesday, tuned. April 4th.
Listen on Repod, the number one podcasting platform in our hearts. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, I don't want to get legally in trouble, but I think Repod's the best.
Fair enough. Repod is a great platform. Yeah. You can connect with all of us, have some chats, have some fun times. Make sure you check us out on Repod. Those links are at gspn.info, where you can find links to all of our podcasts here on GSPN, as well as our Substack, our merch store, whatever you need, playback link. Everything is there. Discord link. I'm just remembering things as I go. Everything. Just basically everything you could ever ask for. Stocks, yes, are all at gspn.info. Everything is at gspn.info. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast platform of choice or watching on YouTube. Make sure you leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.